Yay! Week one is done, and I'm here with a quick recap and preview video to get us started on week two. First, allow me to say thank you. Thank you for all of your work over the last week and a half. I know that you all have a lot going on, so I appreciate that you've been rolling with the punches here. You've all done great, and I appreciate it so much. I will do my best to be here to help you in any way possible. I also want to thank you for your patience with me as I've been playing catch up and getting this video done, replying to discussion boards, and grading your work. There will be one other weekend where I'll be gone in February, but I'll try to minimize the impact this has on you. Please do let me know any concerns you might have. Now, let's recap what we did last week. Our first discussion board was all about the difference between online and face-to-face classes. We learned about the basics of what makes online teaching different and unique, and everybody identified some potential challenges to online teaching. First, Madhavi, and I know I didn't say that correctly. I hope I am trying to say that correctly. Madhavi pointed out the asynchronous nature of online teaching and how it differs from the synchronous way we teach our traditional classes. Lizzie observed the disconnectedness we can feel when we're not in face-to-face situations. The need for a tribe is a strong human instinct, and she is so right. John Sorensen pointed out that the lack of direct face-to-face feedback can be a limitation in our online classes. This is definitely something to be aware of. Catherine brought up the difference in discussions between face-to-face and online. She points out that it could be a challenge to steer conversations back on track when they get off topic. Cindy observes that the instructor has to do some creative, out-of-the-box thinking to make an online class more human to our students. This is also very true. John Davis shared his concern at the thoughts of students all working on their assignments at different times. Recognizing that learning won't be simultaneously shared is important to understanding how our classes will work. Jennifer spoke of the need to make sure we manage our time well and set expectations for responses. I'll have more on that in a future video myself. Linda spoke of the issues with communication and how we need to be aware of our online voice. This is also really true. What might read one way in our head might be interpreted entirely different on the part of a student. And since I am a sarcastic son of a gun sometimes, that can be problematic. Jacqueline spoke about community building in classes. She points out that in face-to-face classes, students see each other, making the building of community more natural. This definitely needs to be more deliberate in online classes. Finally, Cedric spoke about email etiquette. This is super important to pay attention to because our students are used to the world of texting, but many of them treat their email as a form of texting, which can be problematic for setting up an appropriate level of communication. I agree with all of the issues, as well as all of the advantages mentioned. I, for one, as a communication professor and scholar, believe that almost all of our challenges in an online environment can be overcome with effective communication. But then that's what a comm guy would say, right? Yeah, pretty predictable. The next thing we did last week was to create a welcome letter. I loved seeing the voice and personality of all of the various members of this class come out. You recognize that this is the first time we have the chance to reach a student, and we should do whatever we can to set a really positive tone for the class. It was such a pleasure to read your letters, and I look forward to seeing even more of your work as we go forward. Please look for my feedback in the grading area of D2L by tomorrow. Finally, we covered the online readiness assessment in a discussion board. Now, I, for one, have never actually used this tool in my classes. I love it when I learn too. I really look forward to using this myself in my next online class. One of my only potential concerns is the length of the survey. We get survey fatigue easily, and it is a lot of questions. I personally try to chunk my content so that it's brief enough to be completed in a fairly short amount of time, especially content that doesn't have a grade attached. This might be a little lengthy for some of our students, and some might just click through to get it done. Oh, and for the record, you are able to access your students' reports. That is located in the PDF instructions that were at the beginning of that discussion board. Reviewing those reports will surely help you detect any problems early on. And now we are in the midst of week 2. This week we are beginning to look at our syllabi and thinking about how it will be different online versus in a face-to-face class. We will also be thinking about how to adapt our face-to-face exercises and assignments to an online format. We're also creating some cool learning activities. All right, finally, I want to introduce Patrick's Nugget. This will be a place where I share some of what I consider to be some best practices in online learning. Note that these are what I like to do and might not work for you. Or maybe you could adapt them, or maybe you hate them. That's okay. They work really well for me, so I'll keep doing them and hopefully refining them. This week's nugget is all about the opening week conversation. This is something I do for both my hybrid and online students. During opening week, I require them to have a 10-minute webcam meeting with me. For hybrid, I actually let them meet me on campus if they wish. I like this for several reasons. First, it gives some face-to-face interaction with your students, personalizing your class even more. I also have my students do a time management survey in the first week of class, very similar to what you did last week. I review their survey with them to talk about time expectations and their possible barriers to success. This allows me to advise them on their readiness for my class. I anticipate also talking about their online readiness survey that I'm going to have them start doing. I also get to explain particular expectations of my online classes. Now, the downside of this particular task that I do is the time commitment. If I have 25 students, we're talking about 4 hours of time spent in one-on-one conversations. But in an online class, there are 3 hours in a week that I'm not physically in class, so I think this is an okay trade-off. And more importantly, since I've started this, my success and retention rates in my online classes have risen to 85% or higher. I believe a large part of this is how I've set expectations from the beginning. If you want more info about the time management survey or how I structure these meetings, just let me know. Okay, that's it for this week. What are some topics that you want to cover about online pedagogy? Let me know. Also, do you have any really specific D2L questions? Though this isn't a class on D2L, I do want to help you as much as I can. Now, mind you, I might refer you to your campus online instructional professional development team, but if it's a simple question, I'm happy to answer it. Anyway, let me know if there's a topic we're not discussing in a future week, and I'll make a new discussion board about it. So that's it, folks. Have a great week. I'll see you online.